that's the first slide I want to show you is, you know, we do it. Why do you give back to the community? I want to talk a little bit about this morning, what I do and what I'm blessed to be involved in with Energy United, what we do to give back to the community. But I'm first want to say, what do you do? Does anyone, you know, what do you do personally? What do you do professionally? If you were to stop and think now, I'd be surprised if every single one of you on this call couldn't answer that right now and couldn't say, you know, what you do. Is it that, you know, like my fellow Rotarians, Michelle and Val, who are on the call today, and Scarlett, you know, we give back through being Rotarians, through an international organization, but try to give right back here in our community in Statesville. Is there anything else anyone else wants to share that they do by giving back to the community? Come on.
I was going to say, I'm a huge fan of food pantry service, serving folks who are less fortunate. And I worked at a food pantry years and years ago, and a woman walked in for food who looked exactly like me, like the way she was dressed, professionally dressed. And I'd asked her if she was a new hire, because it had never occurred to me that someone who looked just like me would be hungry. And it changed my framework or thinking around what poor or what hungry looks like. And this is over 20 years ago. And so I like to work in food pantries and in soup kitchens, because I think it really gives you a huge understanding of just how many people are struggling with something like food, and people who you wouldn't imagine are needy or who are needy.
Right. Thanks for sharing that, Porter. Absolutely. And I know many of us on the call do go over to Fifth Street Ministries and volunteer and help serve meals. And that's just another perfect example. And, you know, here I say giving back is always in style. There's never a time where we shouldn't all be thinking about giving back to our communities. I mean, now during the COVID pandemic, more than ever, there's so many people in need. You know, there's families and people that can't leave their houses or their residence for safety issues. And, you know, reach out to them. See if you have a neighbor. Is there someone that you could help and run to the grocery store for and offer to go pick up a prescription? I mean, give back to the people immediately in your lives that maybe you haven't even met before. That's something that I have had the wonderful opportunity to do the last few months. I've met neighbors I had never met before. So I don't know if any of you had that situation. We're outside more, we're at home more, but giving back happens in so many ways. I learned to give, the one slide here says, I learned to give not because I have many, but because I know exactly how it feels to have nothing. And, you know, I think sometimes in our life, we've probably all been there. We've probably been in a position where you've appreciated maybe being the recipient of someone giving back to you. Here I say, the law of giving is very simple. If you want joy, give joy. If love is what you seek, offer love. If you crave affluence, help others, become prosperous. We rise by lifting others. That one I just love, and that really hits home. It's so true. I think many of us give back because we want to. We want to help others. We want to put a smile on someone else's face. And no one has ever become poor by giving. I love that quote. That's so true. You know, sometimes you might be down to very little funds, or as they say, the last dollar of your extra fund money for the week. And what a wonderful feeling I can say it is for me when I'm able to take that dollar or 10 or 20 or whatever it is and give back to a local organization, or give back to someone who's in need. I'll ask this, how many of you have been in a drive-through, Starbucks or McDonald's or wherever you go, and you've had someone pay for your meal or your snack, and you get up to the cashier and she says, "You're all taken care of." Thumbs up. How many of you have had that happen? Isn't that a wonderful feeling? To giving back to others for no reason, maybe to someone you've never even met before. So, you know, sometimes I think the little things in life like that where we can give back means so much. And I don't think you always know how much you can affect someone else's life by doing something that simple, by picking up a cup of coffee for them or whatever it is. So I just encourage, you know, and I think, again, I'm probably preaching to the choir here because you all do this, but giving back is so important. And just a couple more quotes before I talk a little bit more about what I do through my work life is, we make a living by what we get. We make a life by what we give. no act of kindness, no matter how small, is ever wasted. And we make a living, again, I put it in a different way, a different, if you want any of these images, let me know. We make a living by what we get. We make a life by what we give. I put that there twice because it really, really hits home. It's so true for me. And I think for many of you on this call, it probably is as well. The meaning of life is to find your gift. The purpose of life is to give it away. How many of you can relate to that? Thumbs up, just always wanting to give back, taking care of yourself, your family's needs, of course, but anytime you can do something extra and give back, I think it's so incredibly important, because for me, it's that gift of, it's so much more than what you give, but it's the happiness that I always feel when I'm able to do something for someone else. And it's so important.
Maureen?
So, yes.
Can you go back one slide, and that middle one? No act of kindness, no matter how small, is ever wasted. I just want to interject a quick story. So I do the same thing. I deliver food to the elderly on Thursdays. I volunteer at Statesville Christian Ministries. I volunteer at the Cove Church. And then in my community, I deliver to elderly people. Well, yesterday was the first day that I got my feelings hurt delivering. So this one little lady, her coffee maker at her house just wouldn't work. So I cleaned out her filter. She had, just the Keurig, the 1 cup thing. I cleaned out her filter and we tried it, and it worked for a few days. And then I went back last week and it still wasn't working, and she was just cussing and fussing. And so yesterday I bought her a new coffee maker, took it to her house and set it up. And boy, the whole time she was just grumpy and fussing and cussing. And then she noticed I wasn't saying anything and I wasn't smiling and cheerful. She said, "What's the matter with you, girl?" I said, "Absolutely nothing. I'm just here to make sure that you have coffee." And so I made her the coffee and I left, and my feelings were a little hurt. But then when I saw this, no act of kindness, no matter how small, is ever wasted, it made me feel much better.
Oh, Val, thanks for sharing that with us.
It made me feel much better.
Well, and that is what giving back is all about, right? And I'm sure maybe later in the day or whatever, that person realized, wow, you came into her life and was really trying to help her and make her a cup of coffee, right?
Well, and you never know where other people are or what they're going through, right, or what has just happened the hour before you got there. You just never know.
That's right. That's absolutely true. Oh, well, thanks for sharing that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I want to transition now and talk a little bit about what I do in my my work life. So I think most of you know I work at EnergyUnited, and part of my responsibilities is community relation and giving back to the community, which honestly is one of the favorite parts of my jobs and what I have the opportunity to do. And, in the past 4 months, we've all been dealing with, our life has changed. The coronavirus has really changed our lives in so many ways, and I think a lot of positive ways. And then there's been a lot of challenges too. But we have a foundation called the EnergyUnited Foundation, and I'm so incredibly proud to be working for a company that has a foundation like this. Throughout the year, I want all you ladies to know that we give back to individuals, families, and even nonprofit organizations that are helping others or that they're in need of financial assistance themselves. So more than ever, we really, really tried to promote this during the past several months, because we know there's so many individuals out there that have lost their jobs. They can't pay their bills. They're struggling. They're dealing with how to maybe keep food on their table. So I thought it was really important for you to know about the foundation. We have 9 members that meet monthly, and it's called the EnergyUnited Foundation Board, and they review the applications. So if you know of anyone now or in the future that's struggling and needs financial assistance, please, please have them go to the foundation. It's on our website of energyunited.com, Giving Back, and you can find the information. We have the application online, and they just need to fill it out. And again, we meet once a month to review the applications, and as long as they meet all the parameters and the guidelines, we fund a lot of applications every year. And I'm going to next show you some examples of recently what we've done. So many of you know Brett Eckerman and Sarah Luce from the United Way of Iredell County. They are a nonprofit, obviously, and they applied for a grant, and the foundation gave them $10,000 to United Way of Iredell County for their COVID-19 relief fund, which we know they don't keep. They're giving that back to individuals, to organizations in the community that are in need. So when we can do things like that, it just warms my heart to know we're able to give back to organizations who in turn are helping others. So here's just a couple quick photos of a Zoom call, because we're doing a lot of our check presentations now instead of in person on Zoom calls, and you'll recognize Brett there in the center. And just the foundation administrator, Deborah, in the bottom right, and then Thomas Golden, our chief strategy officer, on the left. So just one more way we're giving back. Next, I talk about how we've given to some other organizations recently. And Amy, I'm not sure if you're on the call or not, but recently SCAN of Iredell County applied for a grant, and it wasn't what is listed there. It was a very small amount, actually. And I was so especially touched by this because I listened to these conversations of these very caring, giving people, our members who review these applications. And after reviewing that particular application, they went, wow, they need more than just a couple $100. We need to give them as much as we can. And we all know, it's Stop Child Abuse Now. And there's so many people out there that need help, and these women and their families. So we were especially proud to be able to present, and we're going to be doing a check presentation soon with Amy and her staff, $10,000, so that they can use that money to help give back to those in need in our community. You can also see we gave United Way of Davidson County $10,000. This is all in the past 90 days. A location, I don't know if any of you have heard of, St. Francis Springs Center. It's up northeast, I believe, of Mount Area, a beautiful facility. If you haven't been there, or you're ever looking for a retreat center, please check it out, go online. Amazing facility, and how they give back to so many in their community. And then also we recently gave the Life Center of Davidson County $5,000. So, EnergyUnited has members, has customers in parts of 19 counties and throughout North Carolina. So these are just a few examples I wanted to share with you today to let you know, again, you have a need, or if you work for a nonprofit, please apply. Next, I wanted to show you that we're trying to spread the word by putting, which we normally don't do, it's usually word of mouth, but since I have so many influential ladies on the phone today, I thought I wanted you to know about this so you could spread the word. And we did place several ads. We're on social media. We placed this particular ad in the Charlotte Business Journal. We also put it in Daily Life magazine, and of course our very own Iredell Free News with Amy and Mike Furman, and they've always been great about promoting the foundation for us. So we're trying to get the word out. Also, the next thing I wanted to show you is that we've been reaching out and partnering with the radio stations. So I know Kim is a part of this group. She's usually on the calls, but WSIC has been wonderful. So we decided to partner with them, and we get about 5 minutes of airtime every Tuesday morning around 8:30. And this particular week, you can kind of see me in the background up there. I'm on the Zoom screen with Bud Welsh, who was talking about the Carolina Balloon Fest. And wow, you talk about giving back. I think you all know, all the proceeds they make from that Balloon Fest goes back to organizations that many of you work for in the community. And EnergyUnited's proud to be a small part of that. We provide all the propane for all the balloons that go up. So we've been trying to get on the radio, and every week we've been talking the last 4 months or so about the foundation, trying to let more people in the community, the listeners of WSIC, know about the EnergyUnited Foundation. So we're really thrilled to have that opportunity. And then
Maureen, I'm just, Scarlett wants to know if everybody else can hear Maureen. Does anybody have any trouble? I hear you loud and clear. So, not sure, Scarlett, what's happening.
Okay, well, if you can't, let me know. Okay, I see Porter can. Thank you. Okay, so next I wanted to show you that we're also beginning to partner with Ram Radio, another great partner here in the community. So they're going to be giving us airtime every other Wednesday. And we'll talk about the foundation and how we give back. And then next, I'm going to be talking to you about 4 other programs that we do to give back in the community. So great opportunity to get on the radio with our local radio stations. So how do we do this, and how do we earn the money for the Energy United Foundation? Well, we tell our employees and our members, we want to give back to the community, and the best way to do that is through you. So we have something called Operation Roundup. So I'm not sure how many of you are members of Energy United. Thumbs up if you are, or if you're a customer of propane. But we are so proud that over 75,000 of our members participate in Operation Roundup. And what that simply means is they round up their bill every month. So say your electric bill is $88.50. We would round it up to $89, which means you'd contribute 50 cents that month. Well, you may not think that's a lot, but let me tell you, those pennies, nickels, dimes, and quarters, they add up. And we've been so blessed to have so many, and some of you on the call, I'm sure. You know, Valerie has served on Energy United's member advisory committee, so she knows about some of these programs. So Val, feel free to chime in anytime you'd like, but we're so proud and thankful that so many of our members round up, because I'll tell you what, we have never had a situation where our board, our 9-member board, has reviewed an application and said, we want to fund it. This individual, this family, this nonprofit's worthy of it, and we haven't had the money. We've been so blessed. It's just like, you know, the endless basket of bread that, you know, when our funds are getting low, our members keep giving and giving. So I wanted you to know that, because I think it's really, really important that the foundation is funded by our members, and we're really, really proud of that. Any questions? I should take a pause before I talk to you about our other programs. Okay, there's no questions. I'm going to move on. So I put this slide in here, give, even when you know you can get nothing back. And I think I mentioned that earlier. So important. It doesn't, to me anyhow, that's not what it's about, is giving something back. It's about giving and making the difference in someone's life when you give back, whatever that is, be it that you're donating and rounding up your bill, be it that you're serving and going to Fifth Street Ministries, be it that you're serving on a board, whatever it is that you're doing, giving is so important. So I wanted to let you know that Energy United, 3 years ago, I had been asking our board to support this for a few years, and I was delighted when they finally were able to do that. And we created a scholarship program called Empowering the Future, and it's a student scholarship program. So any senior in high school, it doesn't matter if it's public, private, charter school, Christian school, any senior that is going to be furthering their education, we ask them to apply for a scholarship. So we give away 2 $5,000 scholarships a year. The application process is every year between January 1st and March 31st. So they have like 3 months to apply. And then we get together, I have a small committee, and we select the winners. And the next screen shows this year's, the 2020 scholarship winners came from Early College of Forsyth, the wonderful, talented, smart young lady, Madison Mascaro, and Sophia Lehman from William Ho High School in North Mecklenburg area. So neither of them were from Iredell County this year, but in the past 5 years, I can tell you almost half of them were actually from Iredell Statesville schools or Mooresville's graded schools. So we encourage, if you know anyone next year, come January in your lives that you know is going to college to further their education, to apply for a scholarship with Energy United, because we want to support our young students that are furthering their education. The other program that we offer is sponsored through our national partner, Touchtone Energy, and it's called a youth tour. And you're probably saying, what is the National Youth Tour? Because I did when I first heard about it. Well, we're very fortunate because, you know, there's electric cooperatives like Energy United all over the United States. So every year, each electric cooperative is asked to select 2 or 3 or as many as 4 students to participate in something called the Youth Tour. And every June, we send these students to their state capital for the first night. So our students go to Raleigh, North Carolina, and then they either get by cars, buses, trains, or airplanes, and they all meet and fly to Washington, D.C. So it is an amazing week. They go for an entire week, and it's paid for and sponsored by Energy United in this case. And these students have a week that I don't think they ever would have experienced otherwise without this opportunity. They're able to meet with local senators and legislators. They take an entire day and they tour the Capitol building. They get to see the FDR Memorial. Some have gone to different monuments and memorials. We give them a lot of open and free time. And most importantly, they meet new friends, kids from all over the state, all over the country, and they are improving their leadership skills when we're there. We have a little speech contest during the week where they all speak on a topic. It's usually something relevant to their teenage lives. Last year, I think it was social media. And then we pick a winner to represent the state of North Carolina. And then they get together on another trip later in the year and go to a national youth tour conference. So the next screen shows our two winners that we chose for 2020, two outstanding students, one from Central Davidson High School, and then Tony, who again is from the Charlotte North Meck area of William A. Hope High School. Now you're probably saying, now wait a minute, how did they go to Washington, D.C. this year? Well, they were actually supposed to be there last week. And of course, with the COVID pandemic, it has been canceled this year. So what we decided to do this year, since we had already chosen these wonderful students and selected them to represent in Energy United, our board approved that we took the money that we would have spent on sending them to Washington, D.C., and we're giving it to them in the form of a check to use towards their college expenses. So, just to give you an idea, that's probably worth around $7,500. So these students couldn't take the trip to Washington, D.C., and because they're going to be, most of them are going in their senior year of high school, some of them are graduating, we were going to maybe wait and see if they wanted to go next year, but life is a little different when they're graduating from high school, getting ready for college. And quite honestly, we don't know what life's going to be like in a year from now and if we're all going to even be able to do group trips. So we decided the best thing would be to grant them the funds. So we're really, really proud that we're able to send students every year to the National Youth Tour. I'll just take a pause to see if there's any questions or comments.
Maureen, I was curious about how long Energy United has been involved in sort of like this community give back. Like, has it always been part of the culture of the company? Was there something that inspired this? Because it's such an amazing, element of the organization. So I was just curious as to how long this has been going on. These initiatives have been going on.
Well, thanks for asking that question, Porter. Actually, we've been participating in the youth tour for about 40 years. And so we're so happy and honored that we could be part of that. It's coordinated by our national partner, Touchtone Energy. The sports camp is coming up next, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about that. That's something that is unique to North Carolina. So this has been around over 20 years, and we're very fortunate that NC State and UNC Chapel Hill partners with the 26 electric cooperatives in North Carolina, including Energy United. And why? You're thinking, why? Well, it's another way to show we want to give back to our youth in the community. So this is kind of a unique one. This isn't based on academic excellence necessarily. What we do is every year between January and March, same time period as the scholarship program, we put out applications to young boys and girls that are in grades 5, 6, 7, and 8. And guess what? They love to play basketball. That's what they love. And for whatever reason, that it's a bond with their dad, their grandpa, their uncle, their mom, their brother, their sister, a neighbor, a friend, but they just love basketball. Or maybe a coach at elementary school influenced them to love basketball. Or maybe they were just born as a basketball lover, but they love basketball. So what we do is we choose a boy and a girl every year. And one of them, the girl, gets to go to NC State, and this would have been 2 weeks ago, the second week in June. And then the young boy gets to go to UNC Chapel Hill. They get to stay in the dorms for the week. They get to meet the coaches, the players. And I got to tell you, meeting, Coach Roy Williams is a really big deal for these kids, and Coach Westmore. I mean, it's kind of like, oh my gosh, you'd think they were meeting the president. So these kids love it. And they go for a week of playing basketball, but more importantly, they learn leadership skills and they're making new friends. And, there's nothing like a sport. I don't know how many of you thumbs up play basketball or play other sports, but you talk about teamwork and leadership. There's so many lessons that come out of being involved in playing basketball. So yeah, that program we've been doing for quite a while too. So we're really proud that we could partner with NC State and UNC Chapel Hill for the basketball camp for young boys and girls. And you'll see on the next slide, the little two fabulous students that we chose this year. They're both just a ball of fire. Little Riley Elliott, she's from Central Davidson Middle School, and Caleb Brown from Alexander Graham Middle. Just, their spirit was so wonderful. That's part of the hardest part of this job, is interviewing these kids. We go through all the application process, and folks like Valerie that's on the call might volunteer as an advisory council member to review and rate these applications. And then it gets down to the finalists. And this year we did Zoom phone calls with all of them. And you meet these top 10 kids and you fall in love with all of them. So my only wish is, boy, I wish we had just a little bit more money so we could not just send 2 kids, but we could send 4 or 6. But we should be blessed that we're able to even send these 2. So again, this year we chose the winners. We were hopeful things were going to change in our world, but safety comes first. And because of the safety issues involved, they could not gather and go to the colleges this summer. So instead, because they're so young, and we talked with both of their parents, we said, hey, do you want to do this next year? Do you want to be our representatives to go to the 2021 sports camp? And they both said yes. So we're starting a countdown calendar, 365 days and counting with these 2 young students, and they'll be representing Energy United next year by going to basketball camp. So the next one I wanted to tell you about is the last one that I just love. Thumbs up if you have someone in your life that you know that's a teacher who teaches kindergarten through grade 12. And I'll probably see thumbs up from all of you because I think we all know there's so many wonderful educators out there that teach in our public schools, charter, private, Christian, even homeschoolers. And this is one of my favorite programs. I'll just tell you a quick little story here. It's called the North Carolina Bright Ideas Program. So exactly 27 years ago, there was a teacher who worked over on the East Coast of North Carolina, and she came home one day, like many teachers do, saying to her husband, you know what, I love my job and I love my children and I want to do so much more. But, you know, there gets to a point, I feel like I'm constantly spending money out of my pocket. You know, our school fund runs out of money and our PTO and PTA, and it's so hard. And gosh, I wish there was somebody who could help us and give teachers more money. So her husband happened to work for an electric cooperative in the Wilmington area, and he went to his boss and one thing led to another, and they said, hey, we're going to start a fund. And I think one of the teachers that was working with this teacher said, we got to name this. And it became the Bright Ideas. What a bright idea to have a company, an electric co-op in this case, fund some of the needs of teachers. Well, they started it and it became viral. All the rest of the electric cooperatives across the state heard about it and said, we want to do the same thing. So here it is. And for nearly 25 of the 27 years, all 26 electric cooperatives participate in the North Carolina Bright Ideas program. So there really isn't a teacher in the entire state who couldn't apply, because we cover areas all over the entire state of North Carolina. Energy United in 19 counties, but all the cooperatives. So if you know of a teacher, the next slide will show you that needs extra money. They have a creative, innovative idea. Please have them go to our the website, and it's going to connect you to the NC, North Carolina BrightIdeas.com website, where any teacher can go online, fill out an application. Again, the only criteria, they have to teach kindergarten through 12th grade, and they can apply for a grant anywhere from $200 to $2,000. Now you may think, wow, it is great. We're so proud we can do this. I got to tell you, after doing this now for several years, the teachers that might only apply for $222 are often just as excited as the ones that get the $2,000, because as many of you know, $200 is a lot of money to a lot of these teachers, and they just can't keep going to the Dollar Tree or Michael's or Hobby Lobby or whatever and buying these materials out of their own money. It's hard for a lot of them. So we're so proud that every year we've been able to grant to many, many teachers throughout our 19 county service area. We can't fund them all, of course, but we fund a lot of them. We've given away hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars over the past 27 years. We were one of the ones that came on board right away. So Porter, to answer your question, this is something we've been doing for a long, long time, and we're super proud of it. So teachers can apply. We have something called Early Bird coming up August 15th. If they get their Bright Idea application in by then, we'll randomly pick 5 winners who will get a $100 Visa card just for getting their application in early, but the final deadline is in September 17th, I think it is. So if you know any teachers, please tell them about the Bright Ideas Grant Program. And I think that almost is going to wrap up what I wanted to share. And then of course, I'd love to open it up for questions, but here's a couple more of my favorite quotes about giving back. To do more for the world than the world does for you, that is success. From Henry Ford, and I think we can all relate to that, right? The best gift you could ever give someone is your time, because you're giving them something that you'll never give back. And again, no one has ever become poor by giving. And in closing, we make a living by what we get, but we make a life by what we give. You've heard me say that before. It's a famous one, Winston Churchill, and couldn't be more true. Give out what you most want to come back. And remember that the happiest people are not those giving more, but those giving more. So I looked at it's 9:30. I know I did a lot of talking and I shared a lot with you, but I hope that you can take this information and maybe pass it on, give it back to someone else who you know maybe has a need, a student or a teacher or an individual in the community that could use financial assistance through the Energy United Foundation. Because again, it's one of the favorite things I get to do is help others and give back through the generosity of Energy United, and then personally too by what I do giving back in the community. So I thank all you ladies for all you do to give back. I know many of you are in jobs that's what you do too. You're giving back to others, you know, Suzanne with the Crosby Scholars, just so many of you. So I think it's important. It's something that I'm passionate about, and I hope you'll consider giving back even more than maybe you do today, because again, what you give, you get so much more by giving than you do getting back. So thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to tell you about and talk to you about what I do to give back.
Thank you, Maureen. That is amazing. I had no idea just how much Energy United was involved, and that sounds awesome. And there's so much more that you didn't get to share. So I feel blessed to be in a community where giving is just sort of like the fabric of what we do. And so thank you for sharing not only what you do, because you're also, you give of your own time often, but also what Energy United does. That's fantastic. And I wanted to share something that sort of stuck with me. It's bothered me till this day. A few months ago, I was in Winston and it was cold and it had started to rain. And I pulled up to a red stop sign and there was a gentleman with a sign up, and the sign said, "I just need a little help." And it just hit me so hard. Like, you know, here he is, he's out in the rain, I just need a little help. And I looked in my wallet and all I had was a $10 bill. And I said, I'm just gonna give it to him. I said, I could spend $10 on 3 cups of coffee. I could give it to this man. And what disturbed me so much is when I tried to give him the $10, he said, "Oh no, miss, it's a $10 bill you're trying to give to me." He said, "Are you sure?" You know, and it just sort of struck me that he's out here in the rain, in the cold, you know, and he just needs a little help. But I just sort of felt as if he was so accustomed to maybe not being on the receiving end of generosity that he wanted to check to make sure I was okay with giving him a $10 bill. And it just stuck in my mind so much, just not how important it is to give, but how there's so many people who are just so unaccustomed to being on the receiving end that he wanted to make sure I knew what I was giving. And I just thought to myself, that's a shame. You know, like we need to change we need to change this experience where people think that it's a mistake that they're going to get. So I wanted to share that with the group because it's stuck in my head for so long. And I think that if we could share more about what organizations like Energy United are doing, and if we could all just make it seem palatable to be on the receiving end, I think it would just be a huge shift in kindness in our community. I'm so glad to see what you're doing and what your colleagues, Jamie and Amy, are doing, what Energy United is doing. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you, Porter, for giving back, and for all of you giving back. And I'm glad you pointed out Crystal and Jamie, my wonderful colleagues at Energy United, and Val serves on the member advisory committee. And I forgot to mention Karen Baumgardner, she does too. So, hey, it's all about us giving back, right?
Awesome.
Giving back is leading lady.
Shannon, were there any updates from the chamber that you wanted to share with our group?
I think we're good right now. We are probably, I think we might be taking a hiatus in July from Leading Ladies. So we'll gear back up in August, and hopefully everyone enjoys the summer a little bit, and gets out of town or goes and takes care of themselves mentally and physically.
Well, awesome. Well, yes, I forgot about our short break. I am looking forward to seeing everyone when we regroup later on. I think we already have a speaker. Is it for September? We already have a speaker?
Are you asking me?
Yes.
Probably, I have to look. I'm sorry.
No problem. We'll definitely let you know. Well, thank you all also. Thank you all for everyone on the call and on the video chat this morning. We are very hopeful that we will be able to return to an in-person meeting in the fall. That is something I think we're all looking forward to. But until then, I definitely hope that everyone takes care of themselves. And thank you for joining us this morning. Maureen, thank you again for being our fantastic facilitator this morning.
My pleasure. Thank you.
All right. Have a great morning, everyone, and a great rest of the week.
Have a great day.
Thanks, Maureen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.